Now we'll continue that debate with Mike Wallace, senior correspondent and co-editor of 60 Minutes, who is in black tie tonight en route to a Journalist Awards dinner in New York, and Ned McGrath, spokesman for the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Detroit. Mr. McGrath, you've been quoted as saying that Dr. Kevorkian duped CBS and used them. Why? What do you mean by that?
I think the evidence was in the clip that you just played. Mr. Wallace says that Dr. Kevorkian brought him the tape. So in other words, they went from reporting the news to repeating the political agenda of Jack Kevorkian. In 7 years, I've seen over 130 reports of these deaths attended to by Jack Kevorkian. And I think most reporters in this community would come to the conclusion that using Jack Kevorkian, his documents, his videotapes, and anything else that he supplies as a reliable and credible source of information is journalistically naive. And for 60 Minutes to do so, I can only come to the conclusion that they did so because they wanted to get this story on during the ratings. Another point, the medical examiner here has said that the medical examiners here in Southeast Michigan have said on a number of occasions they don't believe this was the first so-called mercy killing attended to by Jack Kevorkian, that there have been others in his 130 victims over the years. Which brings to the third point, which is the only thing that makes this tape different than, and this death different than all of the others, is the fact that it was given a national showcase, and it was given a showcase on CBS.
All right, Mike Wallace, journalistically naive. You're not accused of that every day.
Well, let's start, first of all, with the ratings business. We've been accused of hyping this particular venture because it was a sweeps week. Mr. McGrath, you've been in broadcasting, I understand, for some years before you took on the job as public relations aide to the Archdiocese of Detroit. We have been, I'm sure you know, we've been on the air for 30 years. For the last 20 years, we've been in the top 10 every week. Sometimes first, sometimes third, fifth, eighth, whatever. But every week. So that we've never had to resort to the kind of sensationalizing that you apparently are charging us with. Believe me, we are just as interested in circulation, ratings, as any newspaper or any television news operation is. But there was no hyping. We got this...
Well, then let me ask you why you couldn't have told this story without showing the man die. And if you did show tell the story without showing the man die, not you, and I understand it's not you, it's a different department, but the people who promote 60 Minutes wouldn't have had anything to say all day on Sunday during the football game. The local CBS stations here in Detroit were shameless, Mr. Wallace, with the way that they promoted this tape every 15 minutes.
Well,
Mike?
And I know you're not responsible for that, but those are CBS-owned stations, and CBS is accountable.
Well, I'm unaware of what the promotional aspect of this was. We're talking about the journalism involved, and we're talking about just exactly what we did.
Did you rely on Mr. Kevorkian's? I mean, did you see all of the tapes?
I saw the whole tape that Mr. Kevorkian did, which amounted to, first of all, a long interview that Kevorkian did with Tom Young a couple of days before the event took place.
But do you know,
if I may, and I began to understand the compassion, I know that you're going to find this difficult to believe, the compassion felt by Dr. Kevorkian for this man who was choking to death on his own saliva, not choking to death, just choking on his own saliva, in pain, couldn't use his arms, couldn't use his leg. He had not been treated properly, he felt, by his own doctor. He had been working with hospice people as well. The time finally came when he, his brother, another brother, his mother, and his wife decided this was a good idea.
All right.
They wrote to Kevorkian. Kevorkian came to see him, interviewed him at length, got him to sign a document saying that he gave permission, and then Kevorkian said, now I'll go away for a month and I'll come back after a month and see. No. A week, finally they decided on a week. The following night, Dr. Kevorkian was called by the brother and said, please get over to the house now. He wants to go now.
But, Mr. Wallace, that's
All
the
right,
version...
Let me ask you this, Ned McGrath. That story precisely shows what a sensitive issue this is, and we all know that. We know that there is a serious debate on the so-called right to die, over which honest people differ. So wasn't this segment, in fact, adding more information for people to see what it's really like?
You know, a lot of people turn their head and look at a car accident. I don't think we have to televise that every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. A lot of people are against partial birth abortion, and that's not televised on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. A lot of people have positions against executions, and those things aren't televised at 7 o'clock on Sunday night. The fact that Jack Kevorkian brought this tape, I understand Mr. Wallace's point about the compassion and the condition that this man was in, and I'm not diminishing that for 1 second here. However, he and 60 Minutes are accepting Jack Kevorkian's version of the facts here. And I guess I have to say, over 7 years, I don't think Jack Kevorkian's version of what happened and how it happened, it can be relied on.
Well, Mike Wallace...
Under those circumstances, Mr. McGrath, I'm at a loss to understand why juries in your state of Michigan on 3 occasions, having been charged, Kevorkian having been charged in assisted suicides, assisted dying, the 3 juries let him go. What he wants to do, and this is the whole point of the thing, what he wants to do is to be tried, to be arrested and tried for, it certainly is not murder, for manslaughter. He thinks conceivably manslaughter. Mrs. Yauk doesn't think that it's murder. May I read you a letter? We're talking now to...
Doesn't that put you in the position of advocating for Jack Kevorkian?
No, we're used by Jack Kevorkian. We are used by Jack Kevorkian, yes. We've also been used by Martin Luther King and Jerry Falwell and presidential candidates. And every time a news magazine, a print news magazine comes up, they are being used by the man who is on or the woman who is on the cover. That's our job. What we try to do, is to give an opportunity for public figures who are determined to get something out about their cause. We give them the opportunity to do that. And this, we hope, will stimulate a dialogue. And I think that's exactly what is happening in America today.
Yes, but in this particular case, the tape that you had, as you know, is evidence, under consideration as evidence of a crime, and it was under consideration.
Well, and let me point out...
It was under consideration before it was broadcast.
Let me point out that CBS announced this evening that it would, in fact, release the tape to the police. Now, Mike Wallace, you're not normally so accommodating with your outtakes. The portion's not broadcast. What's different in this case?
What's different is that this tape does not belong to us. This was his Dr. Kevorkian's tape.
Right.
The interview, they want the outtakes from my interview with Kevorkian. We are not giving them that. They want the outtakes with my interview with the family. We're not giving them that. But we are giving back to Kevorkian if he wants to give them, and if he doesn't give this to the police, then we are prepared to do it. May I just make one point? This happened September 18th, I believe. That's 2 months ago. On the death certificate, signed by the medical examiner, it said homicide. Method, lethal injection. 2 months went by. The police in Detroit, in Waterford Township, in Oakland County, never came to see Dr. Kevorkian. That's why he finally went public with this tape.
All right, let me ask you both this. I mean, it seems to me that the legal issues aside, there's also an issue of taste here. Mike Wallace, does this cross the line? If this doesn't cross the line, what does cross the line? Where is the line?
Oh, I can think of all kinds of things that cross the line. We decide on a case-by-case basis. Your friend and mine, Marvin Kalb, incidentally, reported in Boston Globe, said, the awfulness of death has been transformed into a form of news entertainment, said Marvin Kalb, former CBS News correspondent who is a professor now at Harvard. But Mr. Kalb, Professor Kalb, didn't bother to watch the broadcast. So he was perfectly willing to fulminate about news as entertainment without having seen the piece.
Can I jump in for a second?
Ned McGrath.
Yes, two things. One is that I don't think the reason that this tape was released at this time was a coincidence. Physician-assisted suicide just went down to a resounding defeat here in the state of Michigan. 71 to 29% of the population voted against this proposal that was on the ballot.
Including Dr. Kevorkian.
And
he voted against it.
If I would be allowed to finish. Sure. And the outspoken advocate for it, Jeffrey Feiger, lost as well in his race for governor. And I think to say that this tape was just a coincidence at this particular time is, again, I hate to say this, but I think that's rather naive to consider that this was just something that he happened to do back in September.
All right,
there are reports that he was
final,
telling news people that it was coming.
A final 15 seconds from you, Mike.
I thank you for the opportunity. What's going to happen is there's going to be less talk about the journalism of this and more talk about the debate, more debate about the whole issue of euthanasia, and that's what was the reason that we broadcast the piece in the first place.
All right, gentlemen.
Would you have had a story?
Gentlemen, I'm afraid we have to
died?
end it. Ned McGrath, Mike Wallace, thank you both very much.
Thanks, Terry.